Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily News. I'm Nicholas Richardson. Things are becoming increasingly unstable in the Middle East. Israel has attacked in Lebanon and the United States in Iraq. The political leaders of the terrorist Hamas, responsible for last year's attack on Israel, was killed in Iran overnight. A full-scale war in the region seems to be hanging in the air.
A precision Israeli attack in a Hezbollah-controlled neighborhood of Beirut occurred last night. The target was Fuad Shukr, Hezbollah's top military commander.
He was a senior terrorist who has the blood of the Israelis and many others on his hands.
The attack was Israel's response to the recent shelling of the Golan Heights by Hezbollah and the deaths of children playing soccer on the field.
American Marines have been killed.
Shukr had also been wanted by the United States for more than 40 years for killing 241 Americans at a Marine base in Beirut in 1983. The CIA offered $5 million for help in his capture. He is also Hezbollah's top military commander and the right hand of Hassan Nasrallah, who heads the organization. We strongly condemn this attack by Israel. At the same time, military logic dictates that we assume it will go unanswered. But the events in Beirut proved to be only the beginning. In the morning, there was the sensational news that the leader of Palestinian Hamas had been killed. Ismail Haniyeh was killed overnight in an airstrike in Tehran. He was responsible for organizing the October 7th attack on Israel, which later escalated into the Gaza war. These are his last pictures from the Iranian capital. Several hours later, he was dead.
We're in a very difficult moment. It's a pivotal moment in this conflict.
Now Israel can expect a response from Lebanon's Hezbollah and Palestinian Hamas. Hezbollah will avenge every one of its heroes, and every one of us is ready for war. In place of one killed will come a million new ones. Not one, but a million. But the answer may also come directly from Iran. The Hamas leader was killed in Tehran at a symbolic time and place. He was there along with many foreign delegations on the occasion of the swearing in of Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian.
Israel's basically sending a message to the Iranians: we can kill any one of you, anywhere, anytime. And that is very dangerous.
Last night also saw the first U.S. attacks on targets in Iraq in several months. The conflict in the Middle East is escalating faster and faster, and the chance for peace, including for the war-ravaged Gaza Strip, is only getting further away.
Our station has obtained documents proving the intention to take over PKP Cargo's rolling stock. The court has placed the state-owned company under sanction proceedings, which means deep restructuring and de facto enables layoffs and the sale of the company's assets. The Prime Minister's office is celebrating, but the opposition is sounding the alarm. People will lose their jobs, and the company is of strategic importance, not least for the sake of state security. Will KP Cargo be taken over by a German company?
The court has placed PKP Cargo under sanction proceedings, which means a major restructuring of the strategic state company, resulting in the loss of over 4,000 jobs. Many people will lose their jobs, whole families, everything. 40 years spent at PKP. Who will take on the older people? It's mostly older people. I've worked here for 47 years. What new job would take me? Deutsche Bahn is already waiting on the market, which can grab the assets for a pittance and take over the skilled workers. The Prime Minister's office, however, shines triumphantly. We'll get PKP Cargo back on its feet. The court has placed the company under sanction proceedings. This means that it has been given a shield that will allow the authorities to restructure it and get it back on track. What does this mean in practice? I understand that after the layoffs, the new management of this company will sell off some of the assets because they will consider them unprofitable. And Deutsche Bahn will consider these assets as of extremely high potential and will acquire them for a pittance. So that is the concept, unfortunately, as is becoming more and more evident. The situation is particularly sad when you consider that the new concept for the expansion of the central transport port may also exclude Polish companies from bidding. Acceleration of railways to 300 to 320 kilometers per hour means the exclusion of Polish rolling stock from tenders. Unfortunately, Polish companies do not have the capacity to meet these expectations. Also, the actions of the competition. One has to take into account how this will affect market shares, the weakening of PKP Cargo's position, which is a bit of a slippery slope.
równią pochyłą.
The former Prime Minister sounded alarm that PKP Cargo is a company of strategic importance. PKP Cargo is a strategic company. Let's not allow it to be weakened or even liquidated. The President should also be concerned about this situation. The echo of yesterday's meeting at the Belvedere with the company's acting CEO and trade unions, apart from the dramatic situation of the workers, is the fact that PKP Cargo, being in Polish hands, is an element of our security that the President should be particularly concerned about preserving. Poland should have a company capable of supplying both the army and, for example, materials for the reconstruction of Ukraine. So even if this company is experiencing periodic difficulties, if it has been partially withdrawn from the market, it is the duty of the state to support it and rebuild it, because the Polish state needs such a company. Representatives of the owner's supervisory board were not present at the discussion on the company's future at the Belvedere, although the Minister of Infrastructure had received an invitation. Edita Holdinska, TV Republica.
This is one of the fundamental milestones of our freedom and our independence, said President Andrzej Duda, opening ceremonies marking the 80th anniversary of the outbreak of the Warsaw Uprising. The main ceremonies will take place across the country tomorrow at 5 p.m. Polish time. Unfortunately, once again, alongside events commemorating the heroism of the Poles, there has been no shortage of attempts to equate the victims with the perpetrators. German media write that the uprising broke out after German soldiers had tried to organize an assassination attempt on the life of Hitler.
The 80th anniversary of the beginning of the Warsaw Uprising as a common date of resistance against Hitler? This is the version of history the German media is trying to push. Germany just celebrated the 80th anniversary of the Wehrmacht officers' attack on Hitler on the 20th of July 1944. A few days later, the Home Army, in consultation with the government in exile in London, issued an order for armed resistance against the Nazi occupier. The newspaper also quotes Wrocław historian Krzysztof Ruchniewicz, the Polish Commissioner for Polish-German Relations appointed by Donald Tusk. Ruchniewicz argues that the Warsaw Uprising, as part of our common history, should be described in a common Polish-German textbook. Germans would learn about the history of the uprising, and young Poles would learn that resistance to Hitler existed even in Germany. This is another attempt to falsify history and belittle the role of Poles and our struggle for freedom. The idea was not only to belittle Polish heroism, but in general to take away the right of Poles to self-determination, to fight for a sovereign Poland. The Warsaw Uprising was directed militarily against the Germans, politically against the Soviets and the Polish communists who were under their control. Had it been successful, we might have avoided 50 years in the Soviet sphere of influence. For this reason, among others, it is one of the most tragic, but also one of the most important events in the entire history of Poland. Today we're at the stage of building a certain chain of generations. The Warsaw insurgents, those who fought in the Warsaw Uprising, that is, the eyewitnesses of these events, are passing away, and the next, younger generations are taking over the responsibility for this history. We remember. Therefore, on the 1st of August at W hour, as every year, Warsaw and other Polish cities will pause for a moment. Sirens will wail throughout the country. There will be anniversary commemorations, and the living insurgents once again will bear witness to that event. This is an event that lies today as one of the fundamental milestones of our freedom and our independence. We also remember. TV Republica would like to invite everyone to a unique concert. Together we sing Warsaw Uprising songs. We start at 6:30 p.m. Polish time at Krasiński Square in Warsaw. We are going to create a great community that remembers and for whom the issues of the Warsaw Uprising and the Polish heroism of the insurgent battles are still very important. The 80th anniversary of the uprising demands that we honor it beautifully, and that is why we are doing it. On the 80th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising, we will broadcast a special edition on our program throughout the day. Konrad Łądź, TV Republic.
In the midst of a hot and dry summer season, southern Europe is facing raging wildfires. Recent heat waves and dry weather have created the perfect conditions for wildfires in countries such as Spain, Albania and Croatia. The fires are unforgiving, and it is up to the firefighters to try to tame them.
El Puello de Araguas, Spain. Forest fires blazed through the area amid the peak of a heat wave.
It's a shame, it's not right. It's a risk when you have such a warm summer, and if there is some accident, it causes the fire. But it's not just this scenic mountain region in Spain. Spain's weather service, AEMET, has put about half of Spain's territory on orange alert for heat, meaning significant risk of wildfires. It always hurts to see these things, and it's happening here in such a beautiful place. And it's not just Spain either. Here we see the aftermath of wildfires in Shenzhen, Albania. Burnt tree lines, a charred landscape. Luckily, emergency services were able to get the fire under control. The situation, for the moment, is under control, but today we faced a very intense fire. We were lucky that we had no damage to houses or people. Meanwhile, in Croatia, in the coastal city of Zadar, we see firefighting planes dropping water close to the airport. According to Slavko Tucakovic, head of the local fire brigade, everyone is safe, at least for now. But it isn't just wildfires being fought. Firefighters in the mountainous Slavianka region of Bulgaria seem to also be fighting specters of the past. Crews were forced to retreat amid the imminent threat of exploding landmines. The situation has become complicated. Strong winds from the Greek side allowed the fire to jump over the 15-meter ditch we dug as a barrier. We have 2 additional fronts on Bulgarian territory already. The firefighting started immediately, but new mine explosions forced us to pull the crews for safety reasons. As the summer goes on, wildfires will remain an imminent threat. And while this may sound bleak, firefighters across Europe are ready to tackle whatever the fires throw at them.
That's the news. Thank you for watching, and from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.